I'm quite excited today to get another box with a pair of boots in it from Luosjiet. Now, if you've seen my previous video, I was very wary about reviewing Luosjiet, but I was so surprised by the quality of the Indiana boot that I'm now quite pleased to unbox this pair of boots. So let's go ahead. G'day, welcome back to Bootlosophy, or welcome, and if it's welcome, my name is Tech. I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia, or Gallup, Kalikul Wajak Nungabuja. So today I'm opening another pair of boots from Luosjiet out of China. Okay, we understand our various concerns about China, but when I first reviewed, in fact, when I first opened and then reviewed their Indiana boot with the wedge sole, you can go and watch my review, I was very hesitant about actually wanting to review a pair of boots from Luosjiet, but they immediately impressed me by the quality. And we all know the Bootlosophy philosophy that quality control and quality assurance is all about intent, processes, and procedures, and not about any geography. I'm pleased to actually confirm that philosophy. So without much further ado, let's open this up and have a look at what pair of boots I've got in here. So this box took a few stressful moments to get to me because they use a Chinese shipper, and it's not a well-known shipping brand. And when they get to Australia, they use a last mile shipper, which I suspect is a small sort of subcontracted company that is itself subcontracts couriers. So it missed me the first time, and then there were all sorts of dramas about delivering to my office here during the weekend. Crazy stuff. But anyway, open it up, shipping box, then comes the actual Luosjiet box, snugly fitted in. Luosjiet brand. Interestingly designed box with a handle, of course, and I'm going to open this pair of boots. This is their Boondocker boot, but they do have a number of different Boondockers. This is the TG Escape Boondocker. They've also got a 1944 Boondocker, a 1942 Boondocker, a 1940 Boondocker. You just have to go to their page and search Boondocker boots and see the lot of them. So they're wrapped in plastic, nothing very fancy. I'll just get them both out and then take a close look at them. And as you probably know, Boondocker boots are boots from the US Marines in World War II. There's a lot of iterations of the Boondocker boot. John Lofgren famously makes a very expensive one. Oak Street bootmakers sort of do a marine field shoe, which is actually what a Boondocker is. The Boondocker is a nickname given to them by the US Marines who were stationed in the Philippines originally, because Boondok is a Tagalog word for jungle. And that's where we get the phrase, in fact, oh, you must come from the boondocks. And so the Marines use this to call their field shoe the Boondocker. As usual, when I give you the full review, which I will do in a few weeks' time, once I've had a chance to wear these and see how they feel and so on. When I give you the full review, as usual, I will give you a history of the boot. And so I'll give you a potted history of when it was issued to the Marines and what they did with it and so on. But basically, we start from the Philippines where they were called Boondockers. Now, from what I can see online, I have to say this is probably one of the most faithful reproductions, other than cosplay reproductions, of the Boondocker. Many brands, for example, Oak Street bootmakers, use one of their standard lasts to create the Boondocker. But as you can see from this, and I think you should be able to see that the profile is actually quite flat, which is what Boondockers tend to be. They also tend to have quite an almond toe with a bit of a slight squaring off, whereas most other Boondocker representations are kind of rounded service boot type. And this single piece backstay, large coming down the sides, is a typical Boondocker characteristic, as well as no speed hooks. And of course, this corded sole, basically a rubber sole with bits of cord sort of mixed up in it from reclaimed tires and reclaimed rope that's chopped up and made into the sole. And in the old Boondocker styles, the originals, as you wear the outsole, you start seeing all these bits of cord come out. But I'll give you all of that history and the design and so on when I look at it. So if you look at it closely, firstly, the feel of this is really interesting. They call this the yellow-brown oiled cowhide reverse, otherwise rough out. And they put in parentheses short hair because there is another version of this with long hair or long nap, a little bit more furry. And it is definitely rough out because you see the smooth side on the inside. Now, they also use the tongue with the smooth side out. I'm not sure that's original. I think it might have been all rough out in the original. But I was saying that I think this yellow-brown oiled cowhide reverse is actually quite a nice leather. Not sure where the tannery is, because you can get the M1944 Boondocker. Again, this is the Great Escape Boondocker, Steve McQueen's boot, supposedly, according to the website, in The Great Escape. Again, the M1944 Boondocker that the Luosjiet gives tends to, I think, use premium leathers like Tochigi from Japan, and they sell for almost double what this sells for at 300 odd US dollars. It is a stitch down boot. You can see that turned out uppers with a double row stitch down, which I have to say looks really quite neat, doesn't it? Very neatly done, very equivalent in stitching all the way through, very, very even and neat. One row the stitches goes onto the midsole, and one row goes through everything, and one row just stops where the stitch turned out uppers go. Lots of contrasting stitching, which again appears to be true to original. Triple stitch there, looking very neat. That backstay is totally reinforced. 1, 2, 3, 4, quadruple stitching, again very neat. The eyelets facings are good. The eyelets are backed, and the tongue is gusseted all the way up, but they have a cutout, so it allows you to kind of fold the tongue more comfortably. Double stitch to stitch the tongue on. You know, firstly, I think the quality is quite mind-blowing. The materials, this is probably a tanned in China and probably a chrome tan leather. I'll look it up before I do the review, but there's nothing wrong with it, you know. The shape is very original Boondockerish, according to my research, and this is one of the boots that turned me on to heritage boots, the Boondocker. And I've been trying to get like an original Boondocker for some time without going into cosplay. Proprietary rubber sole, single unit from what I can see, I think. Yep. Oh, there might be a block rubber heel glued on and tacked on. You can see the nails, and you can see the cording going through it. Let's look at the other one. Once again, the stitching is good. The hardware, nothing scratchy. Pretty good hardware, painted brown on the outside, brass on the inside. This is a thick tongue. There's no sort of second grade thinner leathers. On the inside, is a veg tan leather insole. What I understand is this is a leather counter. It's an unstructured toe box. Both boots are just quality finished. Okay, enough looking at this. Let's put them on feet. So here we go. Luosjiet I've found in the past is pretty much true to size. So perfect fit. Perfect fit. Not too tight, not too loose. Flat cotton laces, not too bad quality, I have to say. I don't think I like the quality of the Indiana boot, but this I really don't mind at all. I'm just going to tie this very quickly so that I'm not spending too many minutes on this video tying a knot. Just what I might do is turn my jeans up so you can see the boot. Not something I normally do. Do this one. Yeah, the fit is just great. Takes maybe a second more because there are no speed hooks. And you can understand why in a military Boondocker boot that you're not catching the speed hooks on gear. I might leave one leg down and look a bit funny. All right, so looks good. It feels really good on top. The leather is nice and soft. The unstructured toe has a really nice feel to it. Sometimes when you have an unstructured toe boot, I find that the top of the boot kind of presses down on your toes, and until it sort of stretches out and breaks in, it's kind of uncomfortable. These are fine. These actually feel quite good. They're not pressing down at all. That rubber outsole, and I guess the veg tan leather midsole is stiff, so this will need breaking in. It's not like a desert boot, quite soft. It feels really good. I'm quite comfortable underfoot, despite there not being too much of any kind of foam. I think instead of cork, they do use foam in this underneath, between the insole and the midsole. I can't feel that it's particularly springy, but it's comfortable. And I think that veg tan midsole that Luosjiet tends to use is maybe not tanned as hard as some American Benz leathers, which means it can compress as you wear them. There is some significant arch support I can feel right under the arches, coming in here and all the way under the arch. So it feels really good. There we go. That's how I would normally wear them. I'm really looking forward to wearing these. Kind of my ultimate boot is the US Marine Boondocker. So, a few weeks' time, I'll do a bit more research on this and then I'll bring you a full review. In the meantime, let's sum up. So to sum up, I'm really impressed by the Luosjiet quality of manufacture. Say what you like, but this is definitely put together really nicely. I chose this TG Escape Boondocker, spelt without a C, by the way. I chose this because this was closest to what I saw as an original Boondocker boot. If you didn't like this leather, you can always go for the slightly more expensive leathers that they do use, like Tochigi from Japan and other leathers that they use in their M1944. I'm not quite sure what the difference is, whether it's a different pattern. It doesn't look like it on the website. But this is the sort of boot that I've been wanting ever since I first started. And I tried Golden Fox and I've tried various other versions of what might have been described as a Boondocker, but this is the closest I've come across in combination of material. So true to size, I'll give you all the details in the full review, so watch out for that, which will come out, I guess, in 4 to 6 weeks. So give me a chance to wear these. It's starting to rain outdoors, so maybe that'll be a good thing to get them all dirtied up. And a bit of break-in because that sole is quite firm. All right, so there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know what to do if you did. Please click on like. It'll really help me out. And if you're not subscribed, many more of these types of unboxings and reviews on my channel, so subscribe. Take care out there, and I'll see you soon.